actually felt a little extra today. I'm wearing my party dress during my wedding. I'm wearing too much makeup than I intended to wear today. I got carried away for this video. Hello my dear, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chelsea and today I'm gonna share with you things that made sense in our wedding. I've been married for 6 months already and my husband and I have attended a lot of weddings before, and that we kind of had basis on how we planned our wedding, and we already attended 2 weddings after our wedding that made us think that the things that I'm about to mention to you today just made sense in our wedding. First thing that made sense in our wedding is that I had a 2-way gown. I wanted a minimalist gown without all the embezzles, without all the sequins or laces. After researching and scouting, unfortunately, the average price of a minimalist gown is 30,000 pesos. Although the gown was a gift from my parents, I didn't want to spend so much on a wedding gown that I'm only gonna use once. So what I had in mind is that I wanted to make sure that I'm gonna wear that gown for the rest of the day. So what I told the designer is if we can make it a 2-way gown, something that I can wear during the ceremony and something that I can wear still during the reception. And I remember I had a 2-way gown during my 18th birthday. I actually thought that it was a perfect idea because I was still on brand. I had a detachable train and a detachable ribbon. For me, it just made sense because I wanted to maximize that amount that my parents is going to pay for my wedding gown. Number 2, something that really made sense for our wedding was that I needed to delegate tasks that are not my expertise. Since we only had 3 months to prepare, I had to be honest with myself and to let go of the things that I am not an expert on and delegate those tasks to people who I trust, to people whom I know can be more reliable to that task. So for example, I'm not a foodie, so I delegated that task of creating our menu to my husband, to my partner. From the food tasting to choosing the menu, I gave it all to him to decide on. So that's one thing off of my plate during that time. I also delegated the task of budgeting to my mom. Although I worked with her, most of the financial decisions that I made was because of her. She made it easier for me for things to make sense. Like if something is worth spending on or if something is worth letting go of. I also gave the task of finalizing our color palette to my cousin, who is actually one of my maids of honor. Yeah, I had 3 maids of honor. I really trust her creative output, so I delegated that task to her. Number 3, something that really also made sense for me and my partner during our wedding was when we decided to have a first look and a coffee stop. I was able to convince him that it would be something unique and it will be something special for us. I wanted to have that special moment with him before we go to the church and start the ceremony. I wanted to have few moments with him alone because I know myself that if we won't have that first look, once I get to the altar and see him and be in front of the priest, I would be chatty with him. Like, uy, ang gwapo mo naman. Uy, are you excited for today? You know what I mean? Like, I will surely, catch up with him in front of the priest. And I didn't want that to happen because, of course, it will be disrespectful. So, we had our first look and it was really perfect. And also the coffee stop. It also made sense for us because our wedding was a morning wedding. I really needed that coffee for that day, and because of that coffee stop, it's another time for just the 2 of us to let things sink in. Like, before the ceremony, we had the first look. And then after the ceremony, after saying our I do's and our vows, we had that coffee stop for us to, well, for me personally, I had my cup of coffee. But for the both of us, we had that moment to let things sink in. Na, so we're already married. This is our first moment as a married couple. And it also made sense for us because we were able to take a lot of cute pictures in the small coffee shop that we stopped by before going to the reception. Number 4, we choreographed our first dance and also our dip. Is that what you call it, love? Dip. Yung kiss sa end na ngayon. So there. For the first dance, I really wanted it to be choreographed because for the past weddings that we attended, medyo awkward if it's not choreographed. Of course, it's an intimate moment for the newlyweds, but the bride and the groom will just sway in front of their guests, talking to each other. You know, for me, I didn't want to neglect naman our guests who are our audience in the reception. So I wanted our first dance to be choreographed para hindi rin naman boring sa wedding. Although I got injured 3 weeks before my wedding, so we choreographed our first dance with very careful steps. I'm not sure if I still have a clip of when we choreographed it. I was still wearing my cast when we choreographed the first dance. And if you notice, during that first dance, it was just my groom who's going around. But even though it was that simple, we didn't really did some liftings. It was still better than just, swaying in front of our family and friends. And then the dip. This is something that I want couples who are about to get married to really take into consideration because, of course, after the ceremony, all of your guests will wait for you outside of the church, and then you'll go out of the church, and then photographers and videographers will ask you to kiss. Actually got inspired by a friend of mine. I saw her Instagram stories of her wedding, and they were able to do the kiss outside of the church very smoothly, and it looks really good in photographs. I showed my husband how they did it, and we choreographed our dip, and we got this very beautiful photo because of it. And then lastly, one thing that really made sense in our wedding was that I created a wedding manual. What is a wedding manual? A wedding manual is literally the name itself. It's a manual wherein anyone who reads that manual can execute our wedding. So I created this wedding manual because I wanted to let go of everything during our wedding. One thing that I told myself when I decided to create that manual was that the moment I hand over that manual to our wedding coordinator, I'm letting go of everything. I am letting go of last minute changes. I'm letting go of that task of mine to decide something on my wedding. Because all of the things that could happen is in there, in that wedding manual. It actually even made the life of my wedding coordinator easier. What's in that wedding manual? The tasks before the wedding prep, the schedule of the wedding preps, what are the call times of each suppliers. I also have a directory of the suppliers there, just in case my coordinator needs to contact a supplier. Like if there happens to be a supplier who's late, they can contact that supplier without going to me and ask me what's the number of this supplier. The schedule is in there. The things that needs to be prepared in each of the photo sessions are there. And where can they find it? For example, in which box they can find my bridal earrings. Everything is in there. So that during our wedding, I will just have to follow people, I will just have to enjoy the moment, be in the moment, and just let my wedding coordinator execute the wedding that we wanted. For a very time-pressured wedding planning, for me, it made sense to have a wedding manual because I might tend to forget small things that needs to be done during the wedding. Unfortunately, I don't have the physical copy of the wedding manual anymore because I gave it to my wedding coordinator as a gift. Although I still have the Google Doc file of that wedding manual, I can still print another copy. Yeah, because of it, I was able to enjoy my wedding like without any problems. So there, those are the 5 things that made sense in our wedding. I still have a lot of things that I want to share when it comes to wedding planning. For those of you who are probably getting married soon, let me know what are your other concerns, or if you're having problems in your wedding planning, maybe I can help you, and I hope I can help you lessen the stress of wedding planning. Thank you, my dear, for still being here. I'll talk to you again soon.